up, everybody? Welcome to another CGL broadcast. Tiny, Shiny, and 2 Tryhard Ray are here and ready to bring to you the losers finals for the NAPC Open Tier Division. This is some of the top gamers within the CGL scene and the PC division, the one that was recently added this year, and we're just about ready to start crowning a champion once that grand finals match has been decided after this.
Yeah, and after a crazy night last night with 3 grand finals going on at the same time, and then the EU grand finals we had earlier today, we only have 1 grand finals left in our inaugural Overwatch 2 season for CGL, and it is this division. And this game decides who's going to the grand finals as we take a look at the bracket. We got HIVEMIND versus Blue Team to decide who meets Hive 5 in the grand finals. As we take a deeper look at this bracket, these 2 teams have actually met up before in the winners semifinals, where Blue Team took that victory 3-1.
They did end up taking that victory, and yeah, I do find this very interesting just because Blue Team, I know they're mostly known for their console superiority, didn't end up making it to the grand finals in that scene. Here they are in the PC division, ready to run it down, and they're taking on one of the toughest opponents, you could say, heading into this matchup, and HIVEMIND versus Hive 5. We got a lot of Hive teams in this bracket, and all of them are in the top, which I find, first of all, that is awesome just for the puns. Watch us get a Hive 5 versus HIVEMIND grand finals. First, that would be just kind of fun, and also a pain on our end because we got HIVEMIND, we got Hive 5. That's a tongue twister that you're asking.
Hey, it's not as bad as Prophet and Prophet, okay?
Oh yeah, that's worse. That's worse. There's nothing. There's nothing that can come across that will be harder to pronounce the difference from than that. But while we don't have Prophet and Prophet in this matchup, we do have a Blue Team and HIVEMIND, who have very talented rosters of their own. Starting out with Blue Team here, you know them, you love them. We've seen these 5 players so many times, Ray.
Yeah, they have just dominated the console scene for so long, so many championships behind their belts. I mean, there's not much more to say about these kids. So let's go ahead and pull up the roster for HIVEMIND. Racuna, if I remember correctly, in that previous matchup was a big-time DPS player, and Adrian on that tank was going toe-to-toe with Vinny. So a couple players to highlight off this team.
Oh yeah, these teams are they're going to be pretty matched. I don't expect this one to be a 3-0 at all. Maybe a 3-1, but there is no way that we're getting this whole total sweep here just because of the sheer mechanical talent and cohesiveness across both of these teams, and they're going to be ready to face it off here. Blue Team, they are the higher seed heading down into the losers bracket. Off the winners finals, they've elected to start on Nepal, which, knowing what their strengths are, I'm not too shocked.
Yeah, they've had this composition they've played specifically around their supports, where they've played a lot of Ana Brig together. It was funny, I actually saw in a chat when I was watching them go against I think it was in the losers in the console tournament when they went up against MME and they were playing the Ana Brig, and people were like, just play Zed. And they go, not with my DPS. So they like to give each other a hard time. But this Ana Brig is, I think, been throwing teams for a loop. A lot of heals, a lot of protection to protect each other, and they can all do it from a great distance.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of the beauty of Ana Brig. I mean, Ana Zen, tons of utility to be able to throw out, but it's so easily collapsed on, and especially when you're playing in some of the highest levels of Overwatch, that's not something you're just going to be able to run away with, because the other team, they're going to be coordinated. They're going to have that mechanical talent to chase you down and make your lives absolutely miserable. So we'll have to wait and see whether that actually ends up being the case. Thinking we're starting on Village here, I'm going to lean away from that just because you want to play that mobility. You want to play within the rush, within a cohesive unit, which both teams seem to have a variation of that in mind.
Yeah, as we got the Vinny Ramatra coming out versus the Audren Reinhardt. And I've talked about it many times on this broadcast. Ramatra versus Rein. The Ramatra, if played at their highest capabilities, tends to do a little bit better as we have a pause coming in. Just because Reinhardt can't deal with that nemesis form. I mean, you can't block punches. You'll just be punching right through that shield. And it's really hard for Reinhardt to be able to conserve that shield against the nemesis form.
It's such a cooldown based hero. When Ramatra has that 8 seconds of Nemesis form up, that's going to be full steam ahead. You're running in, the Reinhardt's backing off, but as soon as those pummels are no longer hitting, that Reinhardt's going to surge right back, and guess what? There is no cooldown timer on a hammer and a shield unless that is broken. So often, if blue team, as they're the ones that were teasing that Ramatra, if they're not going to win these fights quickly, then that really opens the door for HIVEMIND to start taking their own pace. It does appear we are having a tech difficulty on the side of one of the players. I believe it was 0, so hopefully we can get all of that sorted out, get that lobby reset and refreshed so we can get back in here on Village.
Yeah, as the point is going to get started, and we're going to see a little bit of a switch up. We have a Ana Lucio coming out from blue team. We haven't really seen Harvey on this Lucio a lot, so I'm excited to see how this is going to work out for blue team, but they're already just going to abandon this high ground approach and go around and go straight to the point.
Which you would normally want to do the opposite because you have 0, but Juven has the high ground, 0 does not, so there you go, blue team. They decided to go for the point. HIVEMIND identified that, weren't even going to give them that option, so a great identification and turnaround there. HIVEMIND gonna get that first capture.
Yeah, as blue team's gonna have to be extremely careful, especially with this Raccoona Mei on the field. Lots of isolation with the Mei walls can slow down anybody. So if you're Vinny and top tier kid, you gotta be very careful to not allow yourself to get isolated.
That's exactly what happened on that first engagement there. It needs to change for a second, but already blue team hitting a whole lot of nothing. SJP falls immediately, and HIVEMIND, they're gonna knock the rest of blue team over like a stack of dominoes. And yeah, this is something that is just a positioning difference here. HIVEMIND have to be knocked off the high ground if blue team want to have a chance at attacking.
As HIVEMIND is already looking to get that revenge from blue team. Like you mentioned, they lost in the winners semifinals. The problem is, even if you're going to rotate low ground with that, fine, but you cannot allow these kills to be coming mid-rotation. If you're going to go under, you got to get on this point and just wait for them to drop at you.
Looking for that opportunity in. I mean, blue team, they're trying to third time. Maybe third time's the charm here, Ray. That's what blue team are surely hoping for. I mean, 0 goes down. I mean, this is just HIVEMIND collapsing on one player that gets left out on their own. They're going to try to compensate for the nano, but Adrian is simply too far in, and the damage has been done. Even more of it. I really hope Vinny's swapping off this Ramatra after everything that just got blown by blue team.
Yeah, that was 2 ultimates starting to that fight. I feel like at this point you might be better suited of going with a more mobile composition, maybe like a Wrecking Ball, as we see Vinny doing exactly that. So it's going to also allow for you to do some kind of rollouts and knock this composition off of the high ground.
It's going to give them a chance to do that, but also look at where the time currently stands, right? There's not a lot of time for blue team to have an opportunity to get HIVEMIND off of this positioning. Vinny gets denied. Nice boop there from Frog to be able to do that. Even if blue team get the touch here, there's 4 ultimates on the line for HIVEMIND, and no realistic way for blue team to secure themselves a win condition other than a massive death blossom here from top tier kid. Now that we're in that overtime, it's time to see that come out. The points been locked down in a whole bunch of red of different colors. HIVEMIND utilizing these ultimates, zoning off the point, and blue team are going to continue to get that tag in. Top tier kid, now it's their turn to come up big with shut down through the Ant Matrix. Frog holding this one on down. This was a sweep, and rather a demolition of a map from HIVEMIND. Not at all what I expected just heading into Nepal.
Yeah, it just felt like when blue team got shut down with the Ramatra, they just didn't have an answer. I mean, especially since they kept the Reaper for the Death Blossom with the Wrecking Ball. I mean, mostly you're just keeping that for the ultimate, and they got no value out of it. All they did was get out the Amplification Matrix and the Immortality Field, but it just wasn't a great look for blue team. But the good thing is this next map, Shrine, is going to be a lot more conducive to these dive style compositions, as we see top tier kid going more to that calling card hero that I know him for, which is this Echo.
Yeah, we're running a double flyer potentially. No, we're gonna go over to the Sombra, which I don't hate either. Top tier kid, their Echo's amazing, but having a Sombra here to really set up some of these pile drives and start to secure eliminations, that's what needs to happen here. I don't think there was a single elimination that went the way of blue team last round, if I remember correctly, so that's really gonna start to change here heading into Shrine. New map, new start, but same old Vinny getting blocked off by a Mei. Fortunately, we'll have the mobility of a Wrecking Ball to move far away from that extra burst of damage. There's a very split approach from blue team, but that's okay because they're trying to distract HIVEMIND, pull them apart like they've done to Juven here, and continue their poke in onto the objective. They're not going to be solidly holding on while HIVEMIND, they're the ones that are in the objective taking a beating down while HIVEMIND are stuck with their team getting torn apart from the inside out.
Yeah, you may give up 7%, but you get the team fight win for blue team. And now that they're in the stronghold position, these dives are going to be a lot easier to coordinate because you can catch HIVEMIND, who are on this Reinhardt composition in rotation. That's going to be the key, is catching, you know, maybe Juven or maybe a Defaderol while they're rotating, force out the immortality field early, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, blue team, this is their thing. They're moving way ahead of what HIVEMIND are be able to counter. It's anything, they've flipped the tables in terms of the composition advantage, and they got to start hunting down for these players such as the Baptiste, who already has a hack on the pile drive down. Great targeting from blue team, and they're going to be a-okay to play outside of this ant matrix. I mean, that was a little questionable from Zero, but if blue team, they're going to continue to get those pick-off. It's not the end of the world. They do, however, end up giving away that objective, and that's gonna set them back a couple steps because that was not communicated on their end by any means. So blue team, they want to commit to this. EMP has been a leech. They have the faith to pull it through, and I think this did not turn out the way blue team wanted just because they didn't expect to lose the objective.
Yeah, I think the big problem was Zero using that rocket barrage in front of that amplification matrix especially when the Cassidy is still alive. You just can't let that happen. So because of that, they're forced to use the EMP when they were. And even if I think the big problem was they let that point flip. If they hadn't let that point flip, because they were kind of even in the numbers, maybe they wouldn't have had to commit EMP. So that's just disappointing. But they have both their support ultimates online. They just have to be very careful. Racuna has this Blizzard online, but blue team is very mobile. So as long as they're weary and always checking around, they should not get caught by this.
Nope, they should be okay through the Blizzard, but I do have other questions from the other ultimates. Their big weakness here is contesting that objective. HIVEMIND, that's their largest strength, you could argue. So blue team, they need to be playing that mobile game, serpentining in and out, allowing eliminations to come to them from HIVEMIND separation, and they're playing that game incredibly well here. And the village was not a map that suited this comp at all, so getting here onto Shrine is rather a blessing as they're moving to that final fight territory.
Yeah, those were some big staggers coming out from blue team as well, but as we mentioned, HIVEMIND still didn't really use anything in that fight other than the sound barrier. So this, I mean, if they don't win this fight, Tiny, it's going to be devastating.
This is really a fight that HIVEMIND, they're destined to win. They already got the flip back over, so that takes a lot of pressure off their shoulders just to be able to contest. Blue team, they're looking to get this EMP back online, and if they can shut out Juven and Racuna before this Blizzard even starts, that would be big. That's what they're gonna do. EMP still held on to, but top tier kid did the damage. Doesn't even need the ultimate to be a successful Sombra player. We know them as the Echo guy, but clearly we should be putting this hacker under their belt as well, because this will be blue team taking round number 2.
And that was the blue team we were looking and waiting for on this wrecking ball composition. I'm surprised they just didn't roll out on it initially on Village. I feel like it might have netted them some better opportunities, especially with the Sombra. Top tier kid is also a very talented Sombra. And I mean, we just saw that at the end. Those manual hacks were just the big difference at the end of blue team cleanly winning that team fight. As we now move in to the decider, it all comes down to Sanctum, and this is always like the really like out there map for Nepal. This is where you start to see shenanigans. This is like an Overwatch League where you start to see the Junker Queens peeking their head out and stuff like that. But no surprises. We do have Zero going over to the Ash, which is a very popular pick, especially being able to hold that high ground and have all those sight lines, as no swaps coming out from HIVEMIND.
No, they're sticking with their guns, and you know that could be just fine for what HIVEMIND need to do. They found success with it on Village. However, Sanctum, like you said, is the Wild West, the outlier here of Nepal's mini-maps. So they got to make these rotations happen. Adron has to get in that backline, run over SJP and Harvey, or maybe just find Zero sleeping off on this little angle. Thought they were safe, but nope, I guess Reinhardt Hammers apparently have that much reach, which is something that is a little painful to me to be able to see in this game, but that's going to be an immediate swap over for Zero as HIVEMIND start to get themselves on this objective, solidify that down, but this pesky Wrecking Ball isn't allowing the capture to button through. It's dividing the focus away from their players, where SJP and Harvey have been picking them off one by one. This is where blue team is going to succeed. When they know that HIVEMIND have their backs against the wall, they just go in the middle of their team and rip them apart.
Yeah, that's how this dive composition has to work, especially now that you have Zero swapping over to the Tracer. This only amplifies that more. You got to have Vinny going in with those slams, top tier kid following up with the hack, and Zero can follow in with all that sweet, sweet damage with some coordinated harmony and Discord orbs from Harvey. This is all about communication and being on the same page.
Yeah, and look at that, top tier kid, immediate hack. Vinny wanted the follow-up, but a little scared of this May and the boops, keeping him far away from any follow-up. I love the peel that HIVEMIND are starting to pull out, but the Reinhardt ends up getting on the objective rather alone, and even lonelier after an EMP removes all of the abilities. It's just a shutdown there. HIVEMIND, if they're going to play this comp, you gotta stick together. That's the only way that you're gonna be able to get this to work against blue team. And even at this point, the amount of times you've tried and failed in a row, you would want to think that this is time to switch something up.
Yeah, I think that was a big mistake from Audrey, as she talked about isolating themselves on the point. And I know normally, you're like, I need to get this huge EMP. No, especially against a Reinhardt-based composition. You take out the Reinhardt, that team is going to crumble. And we saw that beautifully. And Vinny has this opportunity as we're heading around to about 65% to cut off any kind of pathing that they want to take with these mines.
Yeah, this is just all blue team right now. I mean, HIVEMIND, they finally worked up to a Blizzard. But like you said in our last map, Ray, everybody on blue team is way too mobile to be caught up in such a little ultimate like that. So HIVEMIND, what are they looking at to really happen here? Maybe Adrian lands a big shatter to get either Harvey or any player on blue team down, because they're spending so much time on this rotation to try to get a setup that they're losing the overall benefactor that blue team originally started with. Zero's constant pressure on Juven, splitting them up, will take them down. Now have to fight with bull support ultimates and no Vinny. Blue team, they're in a great spot to continue this one forward, especially with Kuna not expecting that pulse bomb to do that amount of damage. HIVEMIND, this was them. They came into this round screaming and fighting. They were roaring to success, Ray. But here they are now. They're going down with a mere whimper here on Sanctum. I understand why blue team picked this map, because this is one they completely outmatched HIVEMIND on.
As Zero became the hero in that final fight, Vinny gets taken down because that amplification matrix doesn't matter. Gets all that pressure onto Juven, gets him out of that fight early, then he's able to apply that pulse bomb onto the supports and then follow it up onto the Reinhardt. So very well done by blue team. After a very shaky start on Village, they found their mojo, they found their momentum with this ball composition, and that was a major turnaround.
Yeah, this needed to be done, and I think we've identified the strengths and weaknesses with these teams in one map alone, which is rare that we're kind of able to say that, but they're out there. It's obvious. It's right in front of your face. If you're missing it, I think you need to go get your eyes checked, because this is a blue team that they got to play this mobile comp. They're not going to beat HIVEMIND in the rush comp, just like HIVEMIND aren't going to beat blue team when they're still trying to stick to their game. Usually, I try to encourage all players that if you're the ones controlling the pace with your ideal composition where you're comfortable, then that's great. You're the ones that are most of the time going to come out on top. But when you're getting stomped over and over and over again, that's when you need to start thinking, is what I'm doing really the option that's going to help us moving forward? Is the comfort worth the outcome of having such little success, not finding these opportunities? However, I do think that these large compositional differences are going to be decided just based off of the maps that we're going to be going to, and that's going to have heavy importance on the track this series continues on.
Yeah, to extend that point further, we are going to get a map pick hybrid from HIVEMIND, and based on what we've seen from them, I feel like it's got to be Kings Row. They want to force that brawl, they want to take that fight, and I feel like that's the best map to be able to do that.
Yeah, Kings Row is the place that we need to go. I hate saying that as a caster. It pains me with the amount of Kings Row. I feel like I know that better than my own house at this point. Kings Row, it's got to be the case. If HIVEMIND want to put themselves in an advantage, you pick this map, you go there, and you do what you do best, which is this Reinhardt brawl scum, which they did amazingly when they were actually on top. And judging from the depressed sounds of my producer back there, we are going to be going to their favorite map of Kings Row. I'm very glad that this was the selection for HIVEMIND. This is going to make this series a much more contested one.
Legitimately, folks, in our ear, we just hear, "Ready, Kings Row." Oh, man. Oh, it's everyone's favorite map. I love Kings Row. You know, sometimes when you just do it a lot, it can get a little stale, but it's still a fantastic map and it's going to be brawl centric. But I do think from what I've seen from Blue Team and what I've seen on Kings Row, this Wrecking Ball composition is definitely still on the table, especially on point A. That initial point has a lot of room, especially on the statue. That's like the perfect kind of grapple spot for our Wrecking Ball.
This King's Row, I want to make this clear though. King's Row is not just limited to this rush style whatsoever.
Yep.
This is still open to wrecking balls. It's open to dive. It's open to so many different things, and that's been a lot due to the switch from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2, where we stand now. This isn't going to be one where Blue Team, they're going to be like, oh, I really hate this map. No, this one is an okay spot for them to be as well. But I could argue an even better one from HIVEMIND because, this might be a personal opinion, personal thought, but I feel like this rush comp is going to have a much easier time controlling that pace just with the structure of this map.
Yeah, it's a lot of long alleyways, especially once you get off of first point. That's going to favor more linear based, like forward backward compositions, which are these rush compositions that just want to take space, speed in, speed out, and control the alleyways. And that's going to be perfect for Reinhardt based compositions. As we see from HIVEMIND on the defense, they're pulling out exactly that. It seems like it's going to be that classic brawl composition with the Hanzo Mei, which we've seen flagged in the Overwatch League, normally with the Ramattra, but it's still very effective with the Reinhardt. For Blue Team, no surprises here, sticking to their guns, going with the ball composition. And my guess is Zero is going to go for a couple shots on that Widow, and they're probably going to go to like a Tracer.
Yeah, that's it. It's a classic King's Row Widowmaker. If you stick on it for more than one shot, I will be yelling at you in my plat comp Kims. That's just how it works. But Blue Team here, Zero is a very talented hit scan. I mean, maybe this actually works the 1 out of 1,000 times that this is pulled out. Nope, everyone's going to be hiding around. Zero is taking an aggressive angle. Maybe wants to stick on this for a little bit longer, take a few more shots, which, I mean, honestly, look at the passive effect this has by the space, and even the aggressive one, Frog, peeks their head out when they thought they were safe. No, no, no. You are not. Zero is hard logging this Widowmaker, and I'm sorry that I ever doubted this guy. I really am.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Zero's actually a really good sniper player, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was gonna lock it for at least a fight, and then if it didn't work out, to swap, and they win the fight because of that. Get the opening pick onto the Lucio, and these Reinhardt compositions, like I mentioned, are predicated on taking space, like being able to aggress forward with space, and being able to back up, and without your Lucio, you cannot do that.
No, I mean, HIVEMIND, they need the mobility of their composition, and you didn't have it with Forg. Blue Team, they are going to outpace you in absolutely every aspect. And, you know, HIVEMIND, it's interesting enough, now that they have their Lucio back, they've made a swap here onto the Sombra, which I find intriguing in a couple ways. Yes, it's going to shut down Vinny like it did just now, but you also don't have as much large portions of damage you would get with that Hanzo.
I agree, but this is all about making Vinny's life a living hell, honestly speaking. Not letting him just have the freedom to do whatever he wants, especially since it's a lot more close court, a lot more linear with the alleys, so it's going to be it's already harder on the wrecking balls. The EMP comes in.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. Sombra's been there longer for top tier kid, and yeah, they're just gonna go ahead. Lights out. Zero
Frog.
will not be contested. Forg has something out for Zero right now. The amount of times I've seen the Lucio just straight dive him is kind of ridiculous.
And I understand what the Lucio is doing there,
Yeah.
and also it's also kind of like a pride thing, like, you killed me early, now I must kill you.
Personally,
But,
it took it personal.
yeah, exactly. And Zero's like, nah, I'm still gonna kill you. Good thing is Juven has an EMP online themselves, been forced out, but it's gonna give them the opportunity to really set this up.
You're gonna have time to get that EMP in, but a lot of the cooldowns have been forced out of the backline here, and now you don't even have Raccoona to follow up. Juven, if they got an EMP, they gotta do it right now if they want to get value of it. But yeah, losing Forg, I would back off, just give this one up. HIVEMIND, they didn't take the initiation there. They just let Blue Team walk right over them, and it's gonna cost them heavily here because they're not gonna have a way to get back to this point.
It's kind of crazy because I kind of mentioned earlier where I saw in chat, you know, weeks ago where they were like, just play Zen, blue team, and they're like, not with my DPS, and now we see them playing the Zen, and look how well it's working out for them. That Discord orb, because the ball compositions inherently don't have a lot of damage to be dealt, the Discord orbs are so important and help out a lot.
They do. I mean, you're not even going for large bursts of damage. You're not poking this out. You're keeping this going for long points of time. And speaking of poking things out and immediately eliminating them, that EMP did the complete opposite of that, because the Transcendence was able to get off from Harvey. I mean, it was a good idea from Juven, but without any follow-up, SJP is going to easily keep Harvey alive throughout all of that damage. So you wasted probably one of the biggest chances you had at stabilizing on the defense. You've now given Zero this high ground to continue taking your heads off, and are going to force this to about one fight territory.
As Zero gets another headshot on to Juven this time, and that's the EMP.
Exactly, the amount of effectiveness that top tier kids have been able to get with the EMPs compared to Juven right now, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they do over Widowmaker. That's the answer to Zero as it's been so far. So blue team, they're gonna have a bit of a setback here. Do get the trade out and will have the superior mobility, but they lack that same frontline presence and all of the ultimates finally being chucked out of the way. And when I say all of them, I do mean all of them, right? That was 4 from HIVEMIND just to get blue team when they were already down and beaten.
I mean, desperation kicked in for HIVEMIND. They had to win that fight, and I mean, they win it, but it makes this next attack for blue team be that much more effective and important. This amplification matrix from SJP could just end it all.
It really could. I mean, get Harvey in front of that thing, get Zero back there too. That's just it. That's at this point. And blue team, they have such a high mechanical skill ceiling that they're able to pull these out so darn well. I mean, Vinny has been amazing on the setup and just straight up distraction to allow Harvey to do their thing. Zero and to click a couple heads on the way out. And this is blue team. They're covering HIVEMIND, making them stay in this back corner. They're not able to move out. I didn't even see Adrian tried to leave the room, but Top Tier did shoved him right back in there. Said no, back to timeout for you. And blue team, they're looking to just roll on through this objective. They got an EMP, might not even need it here, just to get there a little bit faster. 2:50 on the clock, and this is exactly what we wanted to see from blue team heading into this map. We told you it's not a hard brawl comp, and this is exactly why.
Yeah, blue team has found their momentum in 2.5 minutes on the clock. Very, very impressive as HIVEMIND is now up against it, Tiny. I talk about it, you know, whether it's a grand finals or a loser finals. This is a loser's finals. First 2-3. You cannot afford to go down in this 2-0 hole, especially with the way blue team is playing right now. I don't see them dropping 3 maps in a row. So this attack that HIVEMIND is about to have could just dictate how we're going to end this series.
It's going to dictate it, because if they don't end up winning this one, they're going down on match point. And I 100% agree with your original statement there. Blue team, they're not going to drop 3 maps in a row. I mean, that might be the caster curse of a lifetime, but we also know this team, the amount of seasons, the experience that they've had here in CGL. They've become champions. They missed their chance within that console open tier. They're ready for that redemption arc in the PC division. So they're out for blood. They're out for blood right now. And HIVEMIND, they are at the brunt of that anger, and they really got to pull it together here on their attack. They're sticking to their guns, sticking to what they're good at, but something has to be able to change and start to counter blue team's incredible dive.
What is this? This Wrecking Ball competition. We got Zero on the Junkrat. They are really just trying to make Audrin's life very hard. It's almost like they go, you want to go Sombra against our Wrecking Ball? All right, we'll go Junkrat against your Reinhardt. So he will never have a shield to exist in this server.
I feel like this is almost like, is it trolling? I don't know just yet. We're going to have to see what Zero's actually able to do on this Junkrat, and we're going to revisit that topic a little later. I mean, HIVEMIND, they're not too worried about the Junkrat because of the rotation they're taking. They're just going to need to be worried about these supports up top, which Juven certainly is. Already been burned down really low on the Torbjorn, and Harvey ended up getting caught out. Lovely rotation here from HIVEMIND. We needed them to set the pace on the attack. Here they are doing just that.
Yeah, but blue team has bought a lot of time for them to come back as we see the stalls coming up. But with Vinny down, that might just be the nail in the coffin that HIVEMIND was looking for.
Yeah, They just needed to catch one more player realistically, and that is going to be all she wrote for point number 1. 5.5 minutes on the clock here for HIVEMIND. Talk about a goal setter here. And this has got to be blue team starting to switch some things up. 0 off the Junkrat. I'm going to lean towards that was more of a troll pick. Being on the Ash here, blue team taking this a tad more seriously.
I couldn't agree more, especially now that we get into the alley phase, the streets phase. They're going to be able to take this high ground and give all the sight lines to Zero, as Harvey has punished this aggression from Farag, and this might buy blue team an opportunity to hold these archways.
This is going to be such a good spot for them to be able to get through as well. I mean, you give Zero this incredible sightline to have, and of course, top tier kid getting everybody close and concealed for an EMP setup. Wasn't able to come through, but it has been actually spotted out here. Forg, they got aggressive onto the high ground, but I know that EMP is coming. I want to see it, top tier kid. Oh, we're going to translate. I'm sad. I'm sad. I wanted to see that come on through with SJP. You had Vinny rolling through on the mine setup. I mean, they're all corralled in a corner anyways with a bunch of explosives preventing them from leaving unless they wish a fiery death upon themselves. And yeah, they're going to get just that here. Blue team finally able to find some stabilization outside of the first choke point, but HIVEMIND aren't far behind by any means.
Listen, I don't need no stinking EMP when we got them in a corner and Vinny can just explode them with their mines. I'll save that EMP for next fight, which is the only thing blue team has online, so they have to make this worth it. As HIVEMIND comes into this fight with almost an entire 5-pack of ultimates.
It's HIVEMIND's fight to lose right now. All they gotta do, find the setup, get that Blizzard out, which they grab SJP, but they'll be A-okay. Sitting in a lovely transcendence from your favorite Zenyatta player. HIVEMIND now able to get past that high ground, past that first choke, and they've had enough of Zero, and yep, immediately put down to the dirt. Now HIVEMIND, they are in control, they're in the driver's seat, taking the bus all the way to victory, and running over blue team in the process, as any good bus driver would do. Yeah, this is going to be HIVEMIND starting to take that control. Once they're actually cleaning up these players on the high ground, and any Sagger that comes out, it's going to be major towards their future progress.
Yeah, this is actually really bad for blue team. You need to get out and reset. Vinny, you cannot go down here. If you want to have any chance of recontesting this point, you got... Oh, SJP's down. That's it. This is what we needed out of HIVEMIND. Like I mentioned, they have to have a very successful attack here, and this is off to an amazing start. They're going to have 4.5 minutes to get this third point.
You called it, Ray. You called it. HIVEMIND, they're setting the pace. This is them full steam ahead here through the objective, but they do have actually to worry about blue team getting that set up. That EMP has been there for a while. Now it is out of the pocket. This should be a quick cleanup from them, especially getting that Baptiste out of the picture. So yeah, HIVEMIND, they're just going to straight up retreat back to the spot, and that is great to prevent any further Sagger damage and conserve their time bank.
I mean, it was very smart of HIVEMIND to be all right, our Baptiste is down. Let's just back up, go back to spawn. We have 3 ultimates to recommit into this fight. Juven's been holding on to this Molten Core for a long time, so I feel like this is the fight where you got to look to use it, because I might be thinking of swapping this Torbjorn at this point. I mean, you're not like using it to affect any kind of tracer.
Yeah, that's who the problem's really going to become, so. I mean, we'll wait and see how much effect this Molten Core actually ends up having here, and you know, that's an interesting positioning for that. I think it's to prevent any follow-up from the Amateur. So actually, all right, big brain play. I'm sorry, Juven. I doubted you. I was just a little bit slow to catch on to such a 5-head moment there. And, you know, finally moving back up. Now that Amp Matrix has expired, HIVEMIND taking the pace themselves. Sound barrier powering through up to the high ground. Look at that pressure on HPG. A lovely boop to knock him back down. I believe actually that was a coach gun from Zero to come protect their support players up on the height. And that's actually going to be really big for them, because the blue team, they have the superior positioning. And they're forcing HIVEMIND into a corner once again where they found themselves the majority of this match.
Yeah, as they get that pesky little turret down, and now blue team has control of the payload, and Defaterall's down.
Defaterall isn't going to be in the equation anymore, so HIVEMIND, they just got to go down now. They got to go down now. You're not going to do anything without your BAP here, and they've lost that time bank advantage, so all they need to do now, they just need to focus on completing this objective.
As that was just a Harvey diff right there. I like the idea that HIVEMIND was trying to do, rotating all the way to where the supports were for blue team. But like SJP was just like, nah, I'm gonna kill you. And now that you're down one, you pretty much lose this fight. They come back with the Blizzard. We haven't seen a whole lot of value out of the Blizzard this go around, so let's see if Raccoona can turn that around.
The spacing certainly worked towards your Raccoona, but not even having the ability to use the Blizzard. Yeah, that's an EMP for you, courtesy of top tier Kid. As another just blue team fight one. I mean, they've been so efficient off of these EMPs. I don't expect that to change.
As now they've taken almost 3 minutes of that 4.5 time bank off the clock. And look at the ultimates that are just continuing to build up for blue team. Winning that fight with only the EMP is buying them so much value in this ultimate economy exchange with HIVEMIND.
They just need to get this time back up, and they got all the tools to do it. I mean, HIVEMIND, they came into this with an advantage, and they're still really yet to push that in their favor. They've been given some space to work, but blue team, they've done that on purpose, because look where players like Vinny and SJP Harvey are sitting on the high ground. I mean, what can they even do against that? There's nobody to go up there and contest. All HIVEMIND has been doing, Ray, has been sitting down bunkered, waiting for these cooldowns to come out, hoping they can live their way through, and it just hasn't been the case at all for them. They're suddenly going to be fighting for a lose-draw situation.
And that was a single ultimate team fight win once again. All they used was SJP's amplification matrix. Blue team is playing this so amazingly, man. They could not be playing any better right now. HIVEMIND, I mean, this is your last fight, 30 seconds left on the clock, and you're pretty much looking, I don't think you can finish this with time at this point with blue team the way they're taking fights. So you're in a lose or draw situation now.
That is devastating for HIVEMIND. I mean, they started off so well, and they're looking death right in the face here. They got to try to at least go for the completion. You're not out of it just yet, and this got to be the pace setter to get them going. The Blizzard was finally unleashed, but it grabs Bob. What's that going to do for you? You don't have your supports really to back you up. You're once again hiding in a bunker room. Adrian basically has no health to be able to push and sustain on the objective. Blue team have proved to be superior. Once again, they are heading up to that match point here. They want to book their ticket to the grand finals.
Yeah, they want to get that revenge on Hive 5, who was waiting for them, because that was a hard-fought 5-game series last time those two teams went at it. So they have that in their sights right now. And you can just tell, man, this ball composition, specifically against this Reinhardt brawl, seems like they're kryptonite. And I feel like you got to come up with a different composition. I'm thinking maybe you go Diva at this point.
Yeah, this is stubbornness to another degree. This really is from HIVEMIND. I mean, this is what they want to do. This is their comfort pick. I said this before we headed into King's Row, and like, this is where they need to go. You can run the brawl, and you are going to be able to be successful on it just with the map advantage. And here they are. They weren't successful at all. They had a good run, but blue team, they were just better. They prepared for the defense. They're just experts when it comes to this cooldown management, this ultimate economy, and it really did show. That did show. Towards the end of this map, we mentioned that once they go down 2, it's unlikely for a blue team to lose 3 in a row. But we never know until it is over. And it won't be over just yet. At least one more map to be played, which will happen right after a quick break. You guys don't want to miss this one, so we'll see you in a bit.
Memories. Memories.
NAPC Open Tier match has returned for map number 3. Here it is blue team up 2-0 to that match point, ready to book themselves a ticket to those grand finals. They want redemption, Ray. They are here, they are angry, and they are out to get it. HIVEMIND has simply just looked like that poor man stuck in between of and the anger that they're presenting right now, and it's not looking too hot for them, especially with their being on match point, the last map pick they're gonna have if this series is gonna go the distance here. Junkertown was the selection. I have a lot of questions. And what was the thought process here on here? Do you have any big brain ideas here?
I was gonna say I have some answers on why blue team loves this map pick.
I was gonna say, I know that.
Yes, I mean they're gonna love to play that wrecking ball. I mean, basically you said, hey Zero, saw you did pretty good on King's Row on that Widow. Let's take you to a map where you can really play Widow.
Exactly.
Which is very perplexing. Maybe, I mean, like we mentioned, all we've seen is the Reinhardt. Maybe they have this skill on the Sigma-based compositions, and we just need to see Junkertown to see that come to fruition.
Maybe. There's a lot of maybes here. I don't understand. I don't understand. And as a caster, I know I'm the one that's supposed to know these things. I'm supposed to understand what's happening at all times. But this one's got me puzzled. It's really racking my brain. Why would you pick this one when this is what blue team has wanted all along? I mean, Zero's already on the Widowmaker, and I don't think that's going to change. And Juven looked okay, but Zero won that Widow 1v1 like 9 times out of 10. This has got to be something crazy from HIVEMIND. Like, Raccoon's got to be another level of this Hanzo. Juven has to absolutely pop off because this is blue team. I'm seeing them sweep right here, right now.
I mean, it all comes down to this. HIVEMIND, if they cannot bring this map home, they will be sent home, and blue team will be going to the grand finals to meet Hive 5, which that game should be scheduled this next weekend. So for either of these teams, so lots to look forward to for CGL as we close out the inaugural Overwatch 2 season. But I'm excited to see HIVEMIND on the Sigma-based composition. We haven't seen them very off the Reinhardt, so I'm expecting great things.
This has got to be absolutely nuts, and there's a good reason we haven't seen this so far in HIVEMIND. They're not even running the Hanzo right now. They're still running on the Sombra, which, do I blame them? No. The top tier kid is going to make Juven's life utterly miserable here, while they're also trying to win out against one of the best Widowmakers on the console scene. This is not the composition that HIVEMIND want to be walking into right now, and they're already showing that they got to back off. They got to take this space, allow Juven to get angles. All right, good shot. You get one on to Harvey. Can you follow it up with another one? I'm watching you, Juven. There's a lot of power in your hands.
There is, as we're looking for the shots, gets a hit onto Raccoon, but it is not enough to finish the deal as Zero and Juven continue to duel here. And again, these are poke compositions, so it's going to be a lot of patience, and these team fights are going to take a long time. So for blue team, you can't afford to lose a bunch of team fights.
Nope, I mean, they're starting to actually show that HIVEMIND, okay, maybe Juven is kind of good at the Widowmaker here, has gotten the better of Zero and actually forced them off the Widowmaker. Something I haven't seen in a while, but if you're not going to win the Widow 1v1, I give blue team credit for making that immediate swap. They're not taking any notes from HIVEMIND and the stubbornness they've showed in the last 2 maps. These immediate switches are going to work out for them. I mean, look where Zero's already managed to get himself way off in the backline. They got to start putting pressure onto Juven because anytime you send a player after him, has managed to rip their head right off.
Yeah, it would not surprise me if Vinny is just sticking on the Sigma for the flux, and then we're going to see a swap maybe over to the Wrecking Ball. But, I mean, already half the time off the clock. Blue team has to get going. They're really struggling in this poke composition mirror.
I know, I mean, Zero's been off in who knows what, in a different dimension at this point. I mean, top tier kid still hasn't built up an EMP, and Blue team, you're relying on a Gravitic Flux to get you some progress on this objective, but Adrian's gonna go ahead and unleash there first. Actually ends up being a whiff. Ooh, not a good sign from this Sigma here, and this one's gonna get a lot more value onto Raccoona as all the life in the world stay up, so just an even trade out in terms of that ultimate, and however this EMP though is gonna have a lot bigger effect onto this gameplay, and of course Zero will as well if they're able to get going, but Juven a headshot point blank. Wow! I did not expect that one coming in. I thought that would be a very dead Widowmaker, but that just saved HIVEMIND in a fight that could have totally ended in tragedy.
And that's always the danger of diving after a sniper like that as a Tracer or a Genji. But Top Tier Kid has found Juven, so Blue Team's going to be able to recuperate, have this EMP online, and continue to push.
They finally took out the problem child. They can move forward and stomp on the rest of the team, and they've done what they need to do. Juven is now off of the Widowmaker here, so that's so much more time for Blue Team to be able to breathe, take this space, and perhaps even the point HIVEMIND don't seem to have intentions of wanting to commit heavily into this fight. They're switching towards these stall pigs. I think it's a matter of forcing out these ultimates, these abilities, and ideally that EMP, if they're doing so, I want to see Top Tier Kid and Zero hold on to their ultimates. There's absolutely no need to pull them out here if you're just snowballing the eliminations, and what HIVEMIND thought would be an eco push turned out heavily against them.
Yes, we see Adrian, who swapped over to this Wrecking Ball. I'm not sure if that was for a last-minute contest or if they plan to stick with it, but I think, they're going to go Winston now, which
Okay.
to me I find interesting. The problem with Winston for me is I always say Wrecking Ball, you know, D.Va and Sigma tend to be the heroes you play to try and counter them. D.Va, lots of damage. You have the Accretion Rock for Sigma to deal with it. But against Winston, I think the Accretion Rock is even more deadly for a hero like Winston, because if you get stunned and put on the floor like that, you are way more susceptible to getting killed.
Yeah, big chunky hitbox, no defensive things under than that bubble, and yeah, just a squishy monkey is really what it all comes down here to. If that accretion hits, Top Tier Kid gets a hack off, which I think we're about to see several of those. This EMP has been held onto just for a moment like this. Blue team, they're prepared, they're ready to go in. That hits onto 3-0. Dragon Blade on the follow-up. It doesn't even get anything, which slight overcommitment you could argue, but if you're able to get these staggers out, it will all be worth it here in the long run. Actually, in Gravitic Flux and Matrix tugged in. I'm surprised to see Blue Team chuck so many ultimates into this fight. They're usually very good about that. I mean, it did get them a one-fight guarantee here on the second objective, so clearly they know something I don't.
Yeah, they're going to get some respawns coming in from as Raccoona gets 0, but yeah, that's not going to matter. Okay, so all ultimates used is now justified because you get point B. Now you give yourself a 3-minute time bank because you kind of struggled on that first point attack. So I feel like it's worth it to have a very easy and quick second point.
Blue Team, they made up for the lost time here, and now they're forcing HIVEMIND on yet another set of swaps. Raccoona has gone over to the Tracer. I mean, they've reset their ultimate bank so many times. I mean, there's the Ana now being pulled out. What haven't we seen from HIVEMIND at this rate? We're playing Hero Roulette over on their end, and Blue Team, they're okay with that. They're going to constantly be on top of the positioning, on top of the ultimate economy, and they've already got an EMP practically built up here.
Yeah, as we see, Blue Team doing a great job of getting on this high ground, and when Adrian attempts to try and take it, use that accretion, knock him down. As you mentioned, Top Tier Kid already up to this EMP, and he's been so successful with the kill rates on this, and there's another.
Yeah, this has got to be 100% fight win rate from an EMP. I mean, Top Tier Kid, the amount of impact they've had on this game is absolutely ridiculous. I know them for their Echo, but I'm really starting to change that over to this Sombra.
Could not agree more. Unfortunately, in the meantime, HIVEMIND gets to come back. We're one fight away from this point getting capped, and they have an EMP and Rally both online, but they've taken down Juven.
Oh, Juven is the one player you needed to stay alive in that scenario because bye-bye win condition. Now HIVEMIND, they gotta hold themselves together in order to have a chance at getting that EMP back into the battle, and Vinny going down. They should be able to do so right here. Yeah, I mean, SJP on the high ground, silhouette matrixing like SJP would. DPS Warlord up on the height. Didn't know that was a support player, but Juven, not again, not again. We're not dying again. Okay, Juven stays alive, but of course the Nano and the Rally out of HIVEMIND just to be able to do that. I mean, honestly, in the long term, this is Blue Team coming out on top.
Yeah, I actually think that was I thought that was going to be a really bad play coming out of Harvey, but you forced out 2 ultimates. So really good, all things considered. Now Tefadro is going over to the Kiriko. So now as a Sigma and as these dive characters, you don't have to worry about the impact of the utility of that sleep dart, of that anti-nade. So you're free to just dive now.
Yeah, I mean, they're still going to be having a hard time with Harvey denying in the whip shots, and they got a great opening, though, with the EMP. Don't have to worry about any of those extra abilities immediately disposing of Vinny, and yeah, they're continuing to push this down. They've managed to get the time bank back to 30 seconds remaining, pushing blue team to 1-fight territory.
That they did, but this is the fight that blue team has been waiting for. They took a couple dry fights. They now have built up to an EMP Flux Blade combination, and the only thing that HIVEMIND can do is displace people with this Primal Rage and sustain a little bit longer. Blue team has the tools, has the keys to victory, but Harvey's down. Oh no!
They don't got Harvey, but it's a CMP. It's got to count. It has every single time for top tier kid. It does get Adrian. We're evened up on the point, but Juven finds SJP as well. Both supports have fallen. HIVEMIND, they're finally finding that success that they've hounded for so long, and it means 0 to hero. That had to be the play to pull out blue team. They are significantly down in numbers. They don't got anything left in the tank to continue to work with, but some hopes and dreams, which Raccoon is gladly having explode in their faces with a lovely little pulse bomb. Yeah, this is HIVEMIND finding their rhythm. They finally got to the answer to counter out blue team and beat them at their own game.
I say that, but both teams now have a clear win condition. If you're HIVEMIND, you just got to get this to the very end of point 3, and you can start to finally build some positive momentum in your way and build your way out of this 2-0 hold and start the reverse sweep. If you're blue team, Junkertown is known for being a first point hold type of escort map defense. So I feel like, you know, you may not have capped the map, but that's still a very strong distance that they were able to accrue.
Not bad at all. Junkertown, it's long. It's very long. It lasts forever and ever and ever and ever into the existence of eternity. Blue team, they managed to get it pretty darn close to the finish, which not a lot of teams are even able to get to that 3rd point to begin with. So, I mean, you go ahead and take that. Like you said, right? Clear-cut win condition on both sides, and you know, why not switch things up a little bit here? That's been what blue team they're known for. They're very good at multiple compositions. Now, the Roadhog is not something I expected to be seeing today.
I did not either, which I'm very perplexed.
It's flexible.
I'm not going to doubt blue team because they are up 2-0, and I know they want to just get to these grand finals, so I don't want to say troll. And Vinny is a very, very talented Hog player.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe they even played Hog in that match against Wisp on the J3 YouTube thing. So I'm not going to try and say anything at this point. So I just want to see how this plays out.
I know Vinny for their Hog and their Wrecking Ball here, so I mean, Roadhog, while you get a lot of hate and you're basically a free ult battery, if you're Vinny, that's kind of the exception to the constant pestering that you will get within your comp games here. So I do need to see that start to give some impact here, because HIVEMIND, they're gaining a lot of space because blue team, they don't want to hold up in this first choke. You got to give Vinny a position where he's able to play close, actually be able to land these hooks and have Zero find some angles here off on the side. So great start for blue team, maintaining their positioning, holding their ground, but I got to see this come to a bit more fruition.
I'm a little surprised to see Juven on the Sojourn, considering how much success they had on the defense with the Widowmaker, but I guess, you know, the Widowmaker definitely is a stronger defensive pick. As we now see these picks finally coming in on the side of HIVEMIND, I do think blue team, if they can back out right now, give themselves an opportunity to recontest.
They're going to be able to back off because Roadhog is still a tank with a ridiculous amount of effective HP in the pool. HIVEMIND, they're going to get this one pretty close. I mean, Vinny wants to contest, forces their little pig body out onto that payload, but how long are they actually going to be able to sustain HIVEMIND? They've been poked down quite a bit, more specifically Adrian here. That hook ends a huge lifeline here. The Sigma isn't able to push up and deny the space as much as they want. They're afraid of Vinny's Roadhog, and I mean, as you should be on the high ground. And while we're focusing on the tanks, we got to focus on these little extra battles that are happening off the side, these duels, which all of which HIVEMIND are coming out on top of, and we'll be the ones to set the pace, set the definition here, and a huge time bank to work with heading into point 2.
As we see SJP swapping over to the Zenyatta, I really thought we were going to see a possible Wrecking Ball swap from Vinny, given the support line we now see. But they're going to continue to play the Hog. Maybe they just want to play for the whole Hog ultimate and wrap things up. But HIVEMIND is just absolutely dominating. They built up to plenty of ultimates, but top tier kid, we talked about the effectiveness and success rate of these EMPs, has another one to use.
No, it's been absolutely amazing other than that last fight on the point. So let's get a redemption arc from that. Let's see a top tier kid. And the EMP, nope, we're still on a bit of a dead streak with that ultimate, and even got no value out of the nano boost. So this isn't a very good look from blue team right now. They're gonna get a trade out, but Harvey is gonna be swapping over to the Ana. Actually found another pickoff of their own HIVEMIND. They're on the objective. There's no tank for HIVEMIND to hide behind, or for blue team to hide behind, but they could care less. Zero is playing cleanup crew today, and that will be a stabilization coming through, and finally a much needed tank swap.
Yeah, this is what we were seeing. I had a feeling they were just kind of playing for whole Hog, which they were able to get a kill from it. So I guess you'll take it, and you're able to get the ultimate stall on the point. So now you get to play this defensive setup on point B, which is very strong. Problem is, HIVEMIND has this rally, so Zero's got to get a quick pick off early in the fight to set things up.
Yeah, the pulse bomb, even if you stick. Oh, nope. You just cursed Zeros, right? That's exactly what you just did. Because they walked straight into an era where Kuna was ready for the Tracer to peek around a corner. And that's exactly the opening HIVEMIND needed here. And start taking some of that ground back from their opponents. Blue team, they don't got the Tracer to contest this objective, so they're scattered. And Vinny is getting beaten to a pulp off in the side. The Brigida not having any of the Wrecking Ball shenanigans. And while all these little skirmishes are happening, it's great to see. I mean, yeah, fights are being taken, but the payload has since been forgotten about. And nobody is able to make anything happen, especially Zero came up with an absolute zero on that pulse bomb and now has 0 HP left in the tank. I'm sorry for all the Zero puns, everybody. You name yourself Zero, I'm gonna make some wordplay with it. That is just how it works in the mind of a caster here. And yeah, blue team, I don't think they're too fond of my word puns. It's not working out for them whatsoever on this defense. They've had this EMP for a good chunk of time and don't even have an opportunity to use it.
Yeah, now the rally's been popped, so there's going to be no reason to pop this EMP if you are a top-tier kid who goes down, so just live to fight another day with these ultimates. You got a lot out of HIVEMIND to get that point, but now they have 3.5 minutes to get these 92 meters. I've seen some crazy holds on third point, so do not count blue team out at this point, especially now that they've started to gain some advantage in this ult battle.
And you said that you've seen some crazy hold. That's exactly the time bank that blue team had when they were coming into this on their own attack. So this is incredibly doable on the defense here, especially with blue team. Have the idea of taking the pace on this fight. EMP is out, and they're starting to find that success on that ultimate, which they've been struggling to do the past couple engagements. Zero being on the Tracer has been a huge difference maker for this squad, and I need to see that play continue forwards because they got a lot to worry about in the next 3 minutes.
I've actually never seen that defensively before, where the EMP comes out and the Torbjorn ults to force away the entire team. Very smart play from Juven. I've just never seen multi-core used like that before.
We've actually seen that a couple times from Juven. They're very smart in the way that they played the Torbjorn, and look at that. It kept HIVEMIND alive, and they're able to snowball that effect forwards into a couple of eliminations. They're going to push this to about 1 fight remaining here, Ray, and I'm looking up at these ultimate economies, and gotta say, HIVEMIND, they got an advantage.
They do, but SJP does have that transcendence, which is basically going to counteract this incoming flux, but so much time on the clock, blue team has to play perfect the rest of the way.
You know what? They're off to a great start, or rather, Adren is not off to a great one themselves. Got really far ahead of their team. The healing couldn't be there to really keep it alive, so this has got to be HIVEMIND. A quick reset. I need to see this quick reset so they can have another opportunity to build up those resources and create an advantage to push them over those couple more meters they need to succeed.
Yeah, but blue team is pushing this effort as there is a huge anti-nade, but this is one great immortality field.
Yeah, it is, but it's too little too late, and honestly, it hurt them more in the end because those eliminations, they got staggered an extra at least 15 seconds there, and that's basically another fight shredded away.
And in the meantime, Tiny, Harvey and Top Tier Kid have both built up to their ultimates. So blue team now has this ability that they have won fights with just EMP alone. So I think you can use these ultimates to win yourself 2 fights back to back. And we're kind of in that territory right now if you're HIVEMIND. So it starts to get a little spicy if you're HIVEMIND.
The challenge, it flipped. It really did flip on them. It was going to be a HIVEMIND game. They had the chance to close it out, but since they couldn't pull it together, they got to fight through the thick of it. The blue team are about to throw at them. Boy, and beyond a 4 tapped here, kid. My goodness gracious. I mean, even if it only picks off one, that's not the end of the world, because the later these eliminations go, they're going to get staggered. Look at this. Harvey and Zero, they're not going to let them out. They're trapped in here. They're sitting ducks. What did HIVEMIND even do? They Dragon Strike as an attempt to escape and hope that they can get back in time. It forces out the Transcendence, but now they've burned both of the ultimates. They've worked so hard to get back up in these final 30 seconds.
Yeah, one fight to end it all. Will blue team send themselves to the grand finals, or is HIVEMIND forcing a map number 4? 2 ultimates for blue team, but they are down Harvey.
Down Harvey, that nano boost isn't going to be played. HIVEMIND, this is their chance to extend that series further. They just got to push that payload, those extra 10-ish meters to find themselves that victory. Blue team, they're going to be returning to this objective, locking it down, but losing Zero isn't a good look for them. Harvey returned, nano boost in play, and Vinny's got to make something happen from it, because it's not looking too good for HIVEMIND right about now. Losing Juven, that is going to really do some damage in the long run. It's got to be closed out quickly, because there's nothing left in the tank. HIVEMIND, they need to show they can win in the neutral, but blue team, they're not taking it in the neutral. They got the advantage. They've taken the time off the clock, and they are going to go to the PC Open here grand finals in a 3-0 fashion.
And once again, Zero becomes the hero. Builds up to the overclock at the very end, pops it, gets those kills in the mid-fight, and sends their team to the grand finals for an attempt to get some revenge on Hive 5.
Oh, well, I don't really want to see an underdog story in this match, but what a rematch that we're going to be able to see heading into those grand finals. I mean, these two teams, they've already played each other once, and that really did... Yeah, it didn't really show here. I mean, HIVEMIND, they looked significantly weaker than the last time that these two teams faced off. Blue team, they've prepared, they've practiced. They're a little salty after their loss in the console grand finals. They're taking to the PC division to prove that console teams are superior, which, honestly, that is such a great storyline to be heading into this huge grand finals, the final one to be played in the CGL season.
Yeah, as we mentioned, I don't know if we can do this real quick, Prod, if we could pull up that bracket just so we can highlight what this final grand finals will be for you guys. It will be Hive 5 versus Blue Team, and it's going to be a rematch of that winner's finals in which Blue Team lost 3-2, which went down to the wire, where Hive 5 absolutely dominated Ilios on map 5. So Blue Team, like we always say, revenge is best served cold, and it's so sweet. So they have, just the rest of this week to prepare, I'm assuming. Just keep and look out for the stream pings. It should be coming sometime this weekend.
Oh yeah, this is the match you do not want to miss. What a way to wrap up the CGL season. I mean, give a nice clap to HIVEMIND. They showed up today. They tried their best, but in the end, their stubbornness really hurt them in the first 2 maps. They dug themselves a hole they couldn't get out of, and here they are. They're going down 3-0. Third place finished, though, to 2 of the best teams in the game. I'm not going to really hound on them too heavily for that. They had a great performance, but we're going to have an even better one in our grand finals matchup. That's going to go ahead, wrap it up for us here today on the broadcast. Been Tiny Shiny and 2 Tryhard Ray on the mic. Behind the scenes, we got MI Blizzard on Prod, KhazixMayJump, and Little Joe giving you these lovely views on the observing. So shout out to everybody who makes these broadcasts happen. I wish the rest of you guys, the viewers, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in this grand finals match coming up within the next week.
Later, guys.
Here, you get an insight and you know something, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, But when somebody makes